Iron Fist Season 2 is finally here, and I guess any casual fan will be stuck wondering among a slew of hot Cheetos, Jackie Chan DVDs, and a celebratory mess from erotic films such as Asian Police 69 if this new season will be any better than the frantic session I just described. Well, instead of outright telling you my verdict, I'm going to string it out with an over-exaggerated 10-minute review to suit my fanciful thoughts on this new envisioned run. All jokes aside, let's have a short history lesson here. Iron Fist Season 1 was doomed for failure right from the start, either by reports of not letting Finn Jones get an ample amount of time to choreograph his fights, or allowing Scott Buck on board, who also put a second nail in the coffin on a particular TV show known as The Inhumans. The show's main issue was that Season 1 didn't feel like Iron Fist, with all the cool enthusiasm that the character exhibits, all the mystical elements that came across punching through the heart of a dragon, and seeing all these insane techniques come into fruition. Instead, we got boardroom meetings, because it's always nice to see Danny Rand run a business he doesn't care about into the ground, while the viewers share that exact same sentiment. It really didn't help matters that the fight sequences were so drab, nonsensical, and clearly edited by a Windows Movie Maker amateur with so many spastic cuts in between punches. I'm pleased to say that Raven Metzner and Clayton Barber deserve a round of applause for not only fixing a multitude of things that any fan would be somewhat pleased with, but giving Iron Fist another time to shine after he was bastardized in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the Defenders and Iron Fist Season 1. The story takes place after Defenders, so Danny Rand is living up to the task of Matt Murdock's final wish: defend my city at all costs. Danny Rand certainly seems up to the task as the immortal weapon, and I think the first episode did a superb job at setting up what's in store. This is without a doubt a more boisterous, confident version of Danny Rand. There's also hints of previous impudence and neglect sprinkled about in the show with his personality, but I think it's not as annoying as it used to be. The heart of Iron Fist Season 2 sits on the fundamental foundation of the theme, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to make peace? The hand dissolved after Defenders, so this is a new arc about gangland violence, which starts to formulate between the Golden Tigers and the Hatchet Gang fighting for supremacy. Returning characters do appear throughout the season, so you'll see a lot of familiar faces. You'll also see some people from differing TV shows like Misty Knight from Luke Cage. You'll see the Meachums, Davos, Colleen Wing, serving as a means to twist the plot as character motivations do indeed change or end differently than what you would expect. Even if he has short man syndrome, you have to give credit to the actor Davos. They embody his corruption rather well to have more of a conceited notion about what it means to deliver justice in his eyes after claiming the Iron Fist back in a newly constructed ritual. Once Davos attains the Iron Fist, he turns into a murderous psychopath who envisions a new unwritten history for New York, and it's up to Danny Rand to ultimately stop him as the gang violence increases due to Davos. There's a brotherly element there that really is played up on the emotions, and that being said, I also think that the supporting cast did a fine job trying to make this a more enthralling, convincing season this time around. However, I do think one of the many nitpicks that I have, regardless of the fine tuning, is that Danny Rand can still be a thundering dumbass sometimes, and Iron Fist Season 2 still tends to follow the Netflix formula of the hero getting hurt and needing an episode or two to get back on his feet, even though it's laughably hilarious how Danny Rand gets thrown through the ringer multiple times which did defy conventions a little bit compared to Iron Fist Season 1. The same defied conventions can be said about Colleen Wing. As soon as I saw Wing as a new female Iron Fist, it felt like a physical manifestation of favoritism due to the fact that she did carry a brunt of Season 1 on her back. She was a fan favorite, and that really resonated when they did something like that. But I understand we're gonna get into people's response later in the video to that particular action. One of the main major standouts will be Mary Walker in this season, or Typhoid Mary. She's a character that Danny meets for the first time as Mary, who seems like a completely innocent picket fence type, a girl next door. However, as we delve deeper into her psyche, she becomes a force to be reckoned with her secondary persona known as Walker. This personality has the character traits to know about things like military grade training. She knows weapons training. She's able to take people out with vast precision. Just think of her as a duality between Mary Jane Watson and a female version of the Punisher. Alice Eve played up that character to a capital T. I thought she was amazing, and both characters seem so different that it was great seeing her acting chops shine through in the show, not only from the character with DID, but the relative flashbacks that she had when she was in Slakovia. I thought that was a nice tie-in. And also she has a third personality, which is Bloody Mary, which is the crazier variant, the strongest variant of Typhoid Mary. That did not come out in this show, unfortunately. It goes to a later point, which I explain about some plot threads being skipped over, some plot threads that were introduced in Iron Fist Season 2 that were not unraveled, but I do appreciate some of the things they had here, like the flashback sequences. The flashbacks in Kung Lung, which explored the relationship between Danny Rand and Davos before Season 1, I thought the fights were great. I thought it brought out some great character moments. I think the Kung Lun aspects were also very strong, but I wish they had more. They felt very sparse. Probably this occurred due to the changed episode count as well. If you have been living under a rock for the past few months or so, the common criticism with the Marvel Netflix shows is that the episode counts are way too long. 13 episodes are way too much for some people. So they're finally listening with Iron Fist Season 2. There's only 10 episodes now, adhering to the public outcry when these Netflix shows dragged on for way too long. So the question is, did it help Iron Fist Season 2 in the long run? In some ways, yes, but we're going to be thorough. If we're going to have a Season 3, then Kung Lung needs to resurface for a potential Kung Lung style tournament to determine the Emperor of the Seven Cities. Not every plot point is answered, like I said previously, with Kung Lung's disappearance or Bloody Mary or the fate of Colleen's mother, but I think what is present sets up a good conclusion. There was also reasonable doubt about transferring the power of the fist. Luckily, they didn't cuck Danny fully out of the Iron Fist, thank God. It just seems like his teachings from the Book of the Iron Fist, possibly, and Orson Randall will come into play due to the ending. Basically, if you want me to lay it down in layman's terms, then Danny Rand just got a Super Saiyan 2 power boost with enhanced techniques. The ending implies he has access to dual Iron Fists that we saw Davos. He also had that in Season 2, and he held on to Orson Randall's guns during the final sequence, which implies that this journey is going to be something bigger with this power boost. Whew, I went on this long analytical spiel about the story and I haven't touched on presentation. Presentation is very important, and for Iron Fist Season 2, the presentation is pretty nuts. It's what you would expect for an enhanced season. The fights are more methodical, more violent, in your face, furious, and most of all, you can see the crisp, clean cinematography, which proved to be a spectacular improvement in between fights. My only gripe is that I wish there was more fights and more of a kung fu style aesthetic to those fights. Maybe I'm being crazy, but beggars can't be choosers. I enjoyed the fight sequences in Iron Fist Season 2. Without a doubt, I am 100% content with every limb-breaking scene, every jaw punched, and the fluid, well-choreographed nature of the roundhouse kicks that flourished and flowed in every scene. It was incredible. I still loved it. Nitpicks aside, man, they fixed the fight sequences so good. These guys understand how to shoot fight scenes. Season 1, eat your heart out here. You don't need 75 cuts or some shit like that. 57, I forget the number. You don't need that to shoot a well choreographed fight sequence. And Clayton Barber, my hat's off to you. You deserve it. Your fights, your practical fights at least for Black Panther, were incredible. I wasn't too fond of the CGI Rubbermen, but that was done well. Clayton Barber, he understood how to make these things work, and I'm glad they fixed that. It did really feel like Daredevil fights on some occasions, I'm not gonna lie. In conclusion, Iron Fist Season 2 isn't completely flawless, but it's an improvement over Season 1. Way better than Season 1 ever could be. The gangland style plot is very basic under some foreign layers. Not every plot twist is explained from the previous season or even the ones that are introduced in this season. Plus, there is the small occasions where the fight choreography feels like it's few and far between, but the positives kind of outweigh some things. Like I said, the fights are great when they are presented here. Mary Walker's portrayal was awesome. Her character was amazing. The flashbacks and better characterization really fit the bill. There's no goddamn boardrooms. Thank God you don't have to see like any boardrooms in this season, because I don't think it takes place anywhere near Rand Industries. And fan service, man, they bring in a lot of fan service with the ending, and overall it feels like more heart was added to the mix. While Season 3 could use some more mystical comic lore, this was a step in the right direction. People didn't like the whole Colleen Wing is revealed as the new Iron Fist, but Danny still has the fist, so they didn't really devalue him as a character and the protector of New York. He's still gonna be on that journey. He might come back. I just saw it as a journey for him and Ward to find themselves and ultimately become stronger people because of it. I fully recommend giving this a watch on Netflix, and Iron Fist Season 2 gets a B-.